Imagine my surprise when this showed up in the mail. That's right, CAMMUS's new LC100 pedals. We're going to be taking a look at these, my thoughts on them, how they stack up against the Thrustmaster TLCMs and the Fanatec V3's. So, got a full in-depth review, taking a look at these things next. What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. Like I said, we're going to be taking a look at CAMMUS's new LC100 pedals. This is their new load cell pedals, and that's what LC100 stands for. LC, load cell. 100 is a 100 kilogram load cell. Now, I've been using these, testing them. I'll show you guys, take a look at the software, which is really simple. And I got to tell you, I was pretty impressed with them. We're going to be comparing these to the Thrustmaster TLCMs and the Fanatec V3's. I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. Number one, price-wise, this kind of falls in between it. So the Fanatec V3's right now you can get for $399. The Thrustmaster TLCMs are somewhere around the $200 to $250 range, depending on where you're buying them, and that's always a big part of it too. And also the V3's and the TLCMs are the two pedal sets that I've used the most. Okay, also along with these now. The V3's are my daily pedals that I've been using for quite a while, and the TLCMs were my first load cell pedals, and I had those for probably a year and a half before I went to the V3's. So comparing this to those sets, to me, just seemed like a really good idea to do it in terms of a review, because both of those pedal sets have things that I love and then things that I don't. And that way we can compare it, give you a good idea of where these are and how they stack up. And hopefully, if anybody from CAMMUS is watching, they might see a couple of things that they can do to make these a little bit better, because there's a lot that I like about these pedals, but there's a couple of things I don't, which we're going to get into. All right, so first up, these are the CAMMUS LC100 pedals. Really nice. Putting them together, not hard. There are a couple of things about them in terms of the construction of them and the way that you put them together that I really liked, and then there's a couple of things I didn't like. Okay, so first of all, what do I like? All metal construction, really nice. You can see here, it's got a nice black finish. Don't pay attention to these screws that these things are on. I'll get to that here in a minute. Nice black finish. I don't think it's anodized. It's so hard to tell with some of this stuff. But if you see here, you got black, and then you can see where the corners are all rounded, and it's got a pure metal finish that kind of shines through. So it's got a really nice finish on it. Finish is one of those things when it comes to, you know, things like pedals, that it's nice, but for the most part, they're down at your feet. They're usually at the bottom of a rig or under a desk. You don't really see them. So it's cool when they look nice, but for the most part, to me, the look and the finish is a bonus, but it doesn't make that big of a difference to me. What matters to me is the functionality of it. These overall function really well. They do. There's a lot of adjustability with these pedals in certain regards. Okay, and that's one of the things that we'll get to when I get to the negatives here in just a few minutes. So first of all, I don't know if you guys could see this, but inside the spring here, if you look right inside there, there's a black washer. There's actually two of them. This is a piece of one of the washers that I cut. Okay, every pedal has those in them, and they're different lengths. These are essentially throw or travel adjustments. So if I want to have more throttle travel, which right now this is at about 1.5 inches, I like to be somewhere around 1.5 inches to 2 inches. When I raced in real life in outlaw carts, we had about 2 inches of travel. When I was working on sprint cars and midgets, we would have at minimum 2 inches of travel. Usually we try to be closer to like 2.5 inches, especially on something like a sprint car. You know, 410 sprint car, you want to have a lot of travel. The reason for that is it's really simple. If you consider a scale, right? If you go 0 to 100, if you have 0 to 100 at this much travel, okay, those percentages, right, if you broke it down into equal boxes, are going to be much smaller than if you have 0 to 100 at this much travel. So what happens is when you are rolling in and out of the throttle, your margin of error essentially is greater, meaning that you've got more room to play with. This is a really big deal, especially when we talk about sim racing, and whether you're doing, road racing, dirt racing like I do a lot of, even like NASCAR, right? If you're driving like the next gen car or like the Xfinity car or something like that at a track that, can really heat up right rear tires, being able to control this throttle and really fine tune where you're at so you're not smoking that right rear tire is important. So the fact that you can adjust this to your liking is huge. It's absolutely huge. And there's more washers in here. I'd like to have seen them at like half-inch pieces, right? I would rather have like 4 half-inch pieces in there that I can just pull out and adjust so I could really fine-tune it as opposed to having to cut it. Now, the ones on the throttle are much bigger. The brake has got smaller ones, much smaller ones, and the clutch has got, they've got them on there, but I did not pull them apart. I think they're the same as the throttle. Okay, so that's really nice. Another thing that's really nice, if I flip this around here or spin this around, if you look, you can see you've got these essentially what look like, they're like tie rod ends, and you've got different mounting options for this arm here. So you could essentially move it up or down. What that's going to do is that can actually help with if you change the throw of it or the angle of it. You've also got preloads on every one of these springs, so you can adjust the preloaded strength of the spring. Another thing that I really like, I prefer preload adjustments for simplicity, okay? If you are, somebody who's really trying to dial this in to give you a certain or specific feel, let's say you're a Daniel Morad type of driver. And what I mean by that is you actually hop into the sim and you're trying to replicate something in real life, okay? You're trying to get the closest thing that you can. Preload might not be enough for you. You might want to have actual different spring strengths, different, load cell strengths, that type of thing, so you can really fine tune and get it close. For the vast majority of sim racers, including myself, preload is going to be more than enough, right? We could give this a couple cranks, make it a little bit harder, and we're good to go, okay? So for the most people, a preload adjustment is more than enough, and it helps a ton. Also comes with a damper attached to the brake, which is really, really nice. I like my brake pedal to feel almost progressive, where it's lighter, stiffer, stiff, and then, basically a wall. With this damper and this spring with the preload, and then you've got the load cell back here, you're able to do that. I was able to really manipulate the car and, rotate it through the corners with the brakes, trail brake, all of that stuff that I'm used to doing and that I've been doing. I was able to do that with this brake and do it really, really well, which was nice. The throttle pedal, once again, just like the others, it's fully adjustable. You can change the mounting position of the arm, of the length, the throw, the preload, all of that stuff. And it's really easy to do. You unscrew this, you pull this off, all this slides out, you take one of them washers off, you put it back together, boom, it's one nut. It's really, really simple. So I was able to adjust these much quicker than I could my V3's, which is huge because we don't want to spend a bunch of time adjusting stuff. We want to spend time in the cockpit racing. That's why we do this, okay? So all of that really, really nice. Other than that, they come apart, all right? So if you wanted to, you don't have to use this mounting plate. You could actually mount them to anything else that you want. If you look here on the bottom, you can see they've got these slots here, and you just screw them in and you can slide them left or right. You have a little bit of movement that you can do, or front to back. All right. Now, this leads me into some of the negatives, okay? Number one, as you can see here, these bolts down here, okay? The other thing that I don't like, other than these bolts sticking out, is the mounting itself. I had to create this to mount it to my rig, all right? Because my rig, the plate that I have on my rig, it doesn't work well. CAMMUS would have been much better off having some foot pegs screw them in, right? Adjust the height of it to leave it off, and then bolting this, you know, having 4 spots, have it match a bolt pattern, have it match a Fanatec bolt pattern or a Thrustmaster bolt pattern, you know, even a Logitech bolt pattern, right? One of the more common bolt patterns that's out there, because every sim rig that's built is going to have those bolt patterns on there. Have it match one of those bolt patterns, and then just having 4, you know, I think they're like M6 bolts that just go in, right, bolt it to the plate. That would have been much better than what they've got here. I understand why they went this route. I keep pointing to this. This is not, I did this. This is not them. I understand why they went this route. All right. And the options for you to, because all of these are mounting spots on these sides here. I understand why they went this route, but in my situation, it doesn't work. The other thing that I did not like about this is the pedal faces themselves. They're metal. They've got a good curve to them, which is nice. The finish on them is a little bit rougher. I race in socks. I don't wear shoes. I use socks. When I was driving with my socks were actually kind of sticking to this. So I couldn't roll the throttle. I couldn't roll the pedals as much as I liked to. These would probably be a little bit better with racing shoes, but even then, it's rough. Like you can hear it. It's kind of rough. It's almost like, you know, it's like a 2000 grit sandpaper almost. It's got a little bit of a roughness to it. It's nice that they're metal, especially when you consider the price point. It's nice that we've got all metal construction. That is really good. Okay. So overall, the pedal faces are not bad, but this was something that I was really upset by. We've got all these holes here and they're nothing. I thought at the beginning, I was like, oh, nice. I can unbolt these and I could drop this down. I can adjust the height of the pedal. No, you can't. That's not what those are for. This is strictly just for looks. That's all that is. It is just for looks and I guess weight. All CAMMUS needs to do is just these slots right here on the side. If they would cut those the way that they've got these, the way that these are recessed, okay? Recess these, and then just get the dimensions on these bottom holes to match the actual bolt pattern. So if I want to drop this pedal face down, I can't. Because here's the problem. If you're someone like me who's got smaller feet, and I have a size like 9.5 shoe, it's not like my feet are tiny. My foot, if I'm putting my foot here, my foot, it doesn't even go all the way up. And I like my foot to be on the pedal. I want the ball of my foot to be here. So when I hit the throttle, my foot's going to roll, okay? It's going to actually roll and slide down. I don't want to have my leg up and be pushing. So I couldn't adjust this up or down, which was a bummer. I was really hoping I could do that, and I can't. And that was another thing that I found a little upsetting. Yes, I could put holes in here myself and make it work. But if I'm going to buy something for $250, I shouldn't have to do that.
All right, so got the pedals mounted, as you can see here with my pedal cam, and excuse the difference in video quality, that's a webcam down there. But so let's go out, let's turn some laps. Okay, so my initial thoughts here, having done a few laps and gotten used to the pedals, are they feel really good. Now one thing you'll notice as you see looking at the foot cam is that the way that I had to mount these pedals is not ideal. In fact, it's the opposite of ideal. With the rig that I have and the mounting plate, they did not mount very well. I had to kind of make my own bolts and do a bunch of stuff to get it on there. You'll notice that my feet are at a very odd angle. They're really kind of bent back, and so I'm not able to roll onto the pedals as much as I would like. I'm almost having to, like with the brake right there, I'm almost having to kind of push as opposed to roll, which is not ideal. That being said, because that is a mounting issue, that is a me problem, that's not a pedal problem. That being said, they feel really good. Now, one thing I really like about them is the length of the stroke that I've got for both the throttle and the brake. So I can really fine-tune the balance of the car with the pedals. Even more so than my V3's, which, keep in mind, I love those pedals.
All right, you guys, so final thoughts here. If we look at these CAMMUS's LC 100s and we compare them to the Thrustmaster TLCMs and the Fanatec Club Sport V3's, okay? Like I said before, and as I mentioned in, just a minute ago when I was driving, my testing situation, there was a couple of issues I had. It was largely with the mounting of this. But other than that, I thoroughly enjoyed these pedals. The feel of the pedals is incredible. It really is. To me, the only thing that these pedals are missing, to make the, it's the only thing that the V3's have over these pedals, in my opinion, is the feedback, the vibration on the pedals. Okay, that vibration on the pedals for me is a big deal. That's the only thing in terms of the actual feel of the pedals. Now, obviously, when we talked about the adjustability with these pedal faces, the mounting itself, all of that was a negative for me with these pedals, so I don't like that. And that's where both of these do have the CAMMUS LC100s beat. If we look at the LC100s versus the TLCMs, which is the closest in price comparison, the TLCMs on Amazon right now you can get for, I believe it's $229. Yes, $229 from Amazon. Obviously, there's going to be other places you can get those pedals, but Amazon is usually the best price to get them. But these compared to this, to me, there's no comparison. These, you got metal arms here, you got metal faces, you have a metal plate here. The rest of this is plastic. The throttle and clutch, you have no adjustability with these pedals in terms of the length of the throw, which, like I said before, that matters to me. I want to have a longer throw. You can adjust the angle of the pedals. You have these little plastic, I don't know if you can see that here, right here. You see that black spacer there. You have these plastic little spacers that you take this face off, you put one of those spacers on, and then you bolt it back down, and that will give you some angle and some separation, right? Oh, you can also move the faces up, down, and side to side. But that's it. That's all the adjustability you have. The brake on here, the load cell brake, it's different than the CAMMUS and the Fanatec. This one is largely just springs. You do have a cell down here, but it's good. It was obviously when I went from linear, the Thrustmaster, just linear potentiometer pedals to this, it was huge. But having used these other sets, these, the CAMMUS ones are much, much better than this. Like I said, the biggest problem for me is the adjustability of the pedal faces. And that actually wouldn't even be too much of an issue. But you can see here, look at the difference in the height of the faces on these CAMMUS pedals compared to the Thrustmasters. These things are really high up. So you almost need like a pedestal or something to put your heels on to use this, which actually wouldn't be a bad idea if they had something that you could just bolt on right here or screw in right here. That would really be cool, kind of like what Fanatec has with this right here. But the pedals themselves, everything else, to me, there's no comparison. The CAMMUS LC100s are much better than the Thrustmasters. Much better. It's drastic. It's drastic. I would use these over these any day of the week. And then when you consider the price, $259 for these, and you're looking at $229 for these, $30, that obviously in today's age, $30 is can be significant just because of how high costs have gotten with so many things out there. But for me, when it comes to the sim racing gear and stuff like that, I always tell people, make the investment up front. I know there's a saying that I've heard this guy say before. He usually says it with like camera equipment, but it's also true for sim racing equipment. Buy it nice, or you're going to buy it twice. And essentially what that means is if you're going to invest into equipment and spend the money, if it's going to be an extra 30, extra 40, extra 50, $100, make sure that you're paying for what you want and just get it now. Don't go to something cheaper or lower to try to save a couple bucks, because in the long run, what'll happen is you're going to end up spending more money to buy that thing that you wanted initially, right? Or you should have got initially. That has been my experience. The main thing that Thrustmaster has, like I said, over this is the fact that you've got a better mounting solution. These can actually be used on carpet with those foot pegs, where I would not put this on carpet. This is not meant for carpet. Any load cell brake is not really meant for carpet. So I would recommend having, at minimum, a wheel and pedal stand that you could at least bolt this to before using. Okay, and I would recommend that for these and these. Now, here's the real comparison. How do the LC100s stack up against the Fanatec V3's? Couple things to note. I said this just a couple days ago during one of my live streams, and it's been something that I've said repeatedly when people ask me about brakes or ask me about upgrades. If you want immersion, right, you're looking for the best feeling in your hands, get a direct drive wheel. If you want to actually improve your sim racing, you get pedals. This helps you on the track, legit. This will do more for you than a wheel ever will. There are pro drivers on the Coke series right now using G29s, okay, or Thrustmaster TMXs, like that have what we would consider starter wheels. But I'll bet you they've got decent pedals, and that's because the pedals really matter. I had said for a very long time that these I should say a long time, but basically ever since I got these dialed in and started, I fell in absolute love with them, which has been, I don't know, 6 months now, 7 months, that these to me were the gold standard. If you wanted to get pedals, this was the minimum, right? You got the Fanatec V3's. What you get for these pedals is incredible. Now, the setup that I've got is not the typical setup, and this is why I wanted to bring this up. On these pedals, you'll notice that I've got the damper on here. I've also got, which you can't see, I've also got Fanatec's brake performance kit. As you can see, this is the performance kit. You've got all these different ones here. These foam ones right here, these are the original ones that came in here. There's also a booklet that I've got in here, some lithium grease, because you're going to grease them up. And it'll give you all of the different combinations that you can use for a soft pedal, a soft medium pedal, a medium hard, a super hard, right? Like all these different combinations. Doing that's kind of a pain. It's not the simplest process. You gotta, undo this and fold this out and pull this out and do this. Kind of a pain. It does have a preload nut on here, which does work and works well. This brake performance kit and this damper are an additional $100. When I got this setup, I got it Black Friday deal. Basically, this stuff came for free. It was a bundle that it was like $100 off what it normally was. So I got it for essentially what is the V3 price, and that's $399. At $399, with the feedback on the pedals, with the adjustability, which it does have a lot of, as you can see, you can move these faces up and down. Also, there's these right here, which I added. These will change the angle, how far they stick out. You could adjust these pedals to fit anybody. I've had them set up for my 11-year-old son, and then, couple little tweaks, and they fit perfect for me. All right. They also have a really nice mounting system here on the bottom. They've got the feet. All of the electrical is out of the way, which is really, really nice. You've got this plate right here, which is 3 little screws. This pops up. You got access to the USB, and it also makes it easier to mount it. It's 4 bolts. You run a bolt up. It's got the washers, a nut. You screw it down, and you're good to go. Mounting this, very, very simple. You do also get different faces for it. If you these right here, I would recommend for, like, if you're using socks. They've also got some hard or plastic faces that I would recommend if you were someone who races in shoes, or even racing shoes, regular shoes or racing shoes. So what you get for just the $399 is incredible. What I will say though, that being said, when I tested it out initially with just the way it comes out of the box, so the stock brake load cell in here, I liked it. It was good. It was still better than the Thrustmaster, but I will tell you right now, this brake, the CAMMUS LC100 brake pedal, or I should say the braking system, feels better than the Fanatec did out of the box. And that's the most important part, out of the box with the stock load cell in here. With the brake performance kit, this one feels better. Okay, I wouldn't say better. it feels, I really like both of them. This one just has a little bit of a different feel to it, I guess would be the best way to put it. That being said, these pedals overall are great. They're absolutely great. I would consider the V3s a step up over these, as these are today. Now, and this is a big if CAMMUS could improve the couple little things that I've talked about, they could kind of go the Fanatec route and do like a V2 version of these pedals. I truly believe that they would have a home run if they could do that, and also keep it under the $300 mark. Man, I would be truly impressed with that, because overall these pedals feel great. They do. They feel like race car pedals, which is pretty incredible considering you're in a sim. Now, like you probably saw when I was driving, you know, my feet had to be a little bit higher. It wasn't ideal. But man, like I said, just a couple of little tweaks with the mounting, having some feet on here, and being able to adjust the height of these, I think would be huge. There's a lot here that I don't just like, but love. And I was thoroughly impressed with these pedals. Even with the negatives, overall, I really, really like them. So my recommendation would be, if you're looking for new pedals, okay, and I know I'm not going to have the only review out there, so I would check out other reviewers, but look into these pedals, because I was thoroughly impressed with them. And if you've got, you know, a mounting system that you think this might work on, and unfortunately there's so many different rigs out there, I can't say, hey, yeah, that'll work. But, or if you are someone like me who is, you know, handy, mechanically inclined, and you've got nuts and bolts at home, and you could put something together if you need to. Obviously, spending $259 is not ideal to have to still do something, but if that was the route you wanted to go, I mean, even me having to come up with this mounting system and do all the stuff that I did was actually worth it. It was. I would, you know, if I bought these and I had to do that, I would still be happy with them. Okay. And that's saying a lot. I don't say that lightly, because $250, I don't care what you're buying. I should say $260. It's $259. Is a lot of money. It is. But to me, I am thoroughly impressed with these, and this is a quality product. I would put these up there, like I said, just right there with the V3s, and that is really saying something to me, because those are, like I said, in my opinion, for the price, the gold standard in pedals. To me, if you want anything better than V3s, you got to go the, you know, super expensive route. You're talking Huskenveld, you know, Semi-Cube, right, with their active feedback pedals, which, I mean, those things can be like $1,000 for a pedal. It's insane. So, I mean, I know they have cheaper options, but still. So overall, really impressed with this. Couple things I would like to see CAMMUS do. Even if they don't do them, you still have a very good set of pedals here that should last you a long time. They're very, you know, quality built, all metal, good construction. As long as you don't, you know, catch your foot here or something on one of these wires. Like I said, I don't love that. But other than that, and the mounting stuff, which I've mentioned numerous times, and the pedal faces, which I've also mentioned. But even then, other than that, very, very good set of pedals. And there is a lot here that I really like. All right, you guys, so that is going to do it all for this video. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. Couple things to note that I did not mention, and I'll mention it now. If you are interested in the pedals, they have two different options here to buy these things. And if you live in, you know, like North America, your choices are gonna kind of, they might sway you. So first of all, you can do what's called a direct shipment, which means you buy them and you get them shipped to you from China. All right, because that's where that's where CAMMUS is located. Now, if you go that route, you do have to pay for the shipping, and I think it's VAT or something like that. And that will definitely increase the price of these. They're not going to be $260. They're going to be more like $350. So that is definitely something to consider. All right, which is why I wanted to mention this. Or you can go the other route, which is the pre-order route. Now, the pre-order route is something new that CAMMUS has been doing, because this is not like pre-order and then they're launching the product. The product is available. What it is CAMMUS is doing this pre-order stuff where essentially you can put $59 down as like a down payment. They ship the product to their US warehouse or wherever it is that you're located. They have warehouses in the UK, Australia, here in North America, so wherever's closest to you. And once they have enough orders in to, move to that warehouse, then they notify you. You get an email to pay off the balance, which would be $200, and then you get your pedals. And so that will save you a lot of money on shipping. The thing with that is, from my understanding, talking to the person I talked to at CAMMUS, from my understanding, they need to have X amount of orders to do that. So that's the thing. You might have to wait longer if you go the pre-sale route. So a couple of little things I wanted to mention here before we wrap this up. I know we've covered a ton, but that was something I forgot to say, and it's obviously really important. All right, you guys, that's going to do it. Thank you very much as always for joining me. I really appreciate it. This was a pleasant surprise. This week has been probably one of the craziest weeks I've ever had. I know I always talk about how crazy things are and how my time is just, but it's the truth. And this last week, these showed up, and I didn't just want to, I just want to just put them off to the side. And so I started doing, putting them together and started working on this and getting everything set up. And then I got news like a day or two after I started working on this, where my father had passed away, and that was obviously a shock. And so everything's been so backed up and so crazy. So if you've noticed, you've probably seen me in different outfits and different camera angles, different mics in this video. That's why I've been doing this in parts, and it's because everything's just been so nuts. So, forgive me on that front. Hopefully the information here is still solid, because that's, at the end of the day, the most important thing. But thank you very much as always. If you want to check out anything else that we have at SSR, whether it's free trainings, a lot of the free stuff I'm obviously trying to get updated and put out. Like I just mentioned, time is not something I have a ton of, but we do have free content on there. It is still very helpful and very relevant. We've also got our Discord server, which has got, I don't know, I want to say like 5,000 people in it. And, it's a great resource for meeting other sim racers. Obviously we're all iRacers, and whether it's road racing, dirt racing, NASCAR, short track, oval, whatever, there's somebody in there who does it that you can, race with, talk to, make a new friend, whatever. Some of my, really, really good friends are in the SS. I met through sim racing. I talk to them all the time. So, it's a great place to meet other sim racers, get the help that you need if you need help, no matter what it is, whether it's driving, PC, whatever. And it's all free. So if you want to check any of that stuff out, links for that down in the description below. Lastly, we have our Legacy 500 coming up in May. This is a really big event that we're putting on. It's going to be all completely broadcasted. It is a special event using the Dallara IR01, so the special iRacing Formula IndyCar thing that they built at Indy, 500 miles. Like I said, it's going to be broadcasted, and we're doing the whole event, and we've got a huge, purse. It's literally thousands of dollars, and the way that it works is we're not just paying out like the top 3 or top 5 or something like that. Like there's a purse for, you know, the top 3. I think it's the top 3 exactly. And then everybody else who makes the race will have the opportunity to win a prize. So not only will you, you know, get to be in the race and event and all that stuff like that, but you have the option to win prizes. And we've got a bunch of really cool prizes, like really cool stuff. So if you want to check any of that stuff out, I'll have links for everything down in the description below. But you guys, that'll do it. Thank you very much as always for joining me. And until next time, I want to wish you good luck, good racing. Take care.